valuable extractive resources in Africa, oil, gas and minerals, are driving immense economic and social development and have the potential to contribute significantly to economic growth and corporate profitability, as well as drastically reduce poverty levels on the continent and deliver on women's human rights. UN Women is the United Nations entity for gender equality and women empowerment. UN Women's vision in Africa is to bring women to the heart of Africa's development and transformation. For this to happen, women need to become central actors and beneficiaries of the sectors that drive Africa's economy. In collaboration with key partners, UN Women held a 3-day regional Sharefare on gender equality in the extractive industries with the aim of promoting gender equality in the extractive industries. The event that took place from 13th to 15th October 2015 provided a platform for various stakeholders to discuss and share knowledge and good practices aimed at reframing gender and women empowerment in the extractive industry sector in Africa.
Women on the continent already play a vital role, but often overlooked role in the extractive industries. Previously thought as a man's business, the mining industry is witnessing the increasing participation of women as operators, as employers, and as workers.
This Sharefare is the second edition of what has now become for UN Women a signature annual event.
In her welcome remarks, Ms. Simone Ellis Oluoch-Olunya, Deputy Regional Director, UN Women Eastern and Southern Africa, noted that unlocking gender equality will unlock the potential growth of the continent. She stressed on the need for urgent gender-responsive approaches in the extractive industries to ensure equitable, tangible, and profitable economic and development dividends for all.
Unlocking gender equality will unlock growth potential for this continent. The oil, gas, and mining sector is an incredibly important driving force for economic development, particularly on this continent. Indeed, it is for this reason that through ongoing partnerships, as well as those partnerships that will be fostered through this convening, we will together make concerted efforts to collectively engage more actively in the sector, not only to mitigate the negative consequences, but also to ensure that the development and economic opportunities brought about by the sector are equally accessible to both men and women. And to do this, we must bring women to the center of the extractors.
The conference, the first of its kind in the region, provided a platform for governments, private sector, civil society, development partners, and other players in the extractive industries to discuss, consult, and share experiences for gender-inclusive policies, interventions, and development models that can be adopted and scaled up as most African countries are currently developing their extractive policies. The Sharefare aimed to exchange knowledge and dialogue on gender issues at all levels of EI, promote innovations and best practices and policies that support women in the EI sector, and identify challenges and opportunities for women in EI.
There's one main principle for this convening, and that principle is to bring women to the center of the extractive industry sector. And we seek to do this through a number of methods, through dialogue, networking, mentorship, and sharing good practice, whether it is technologies, advocacy, capacity building and sharing of experiences, research, so on and so forth.
Honorable Najib Balala, Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Mining in Kenya, advocated for women empowerment in the extractive industries and gave a reaffirmation of his ministry's commitment to empowering women in the extractive sector through partnerships with various stakeholders.
Kenya has achieved a lot in political empowerment of women. I know you want more. Demand more. There's nothing wrong with that. Take as much as you want, but appreciate where we came from and appreciate what we are possessing currently. I can tell you, as far as I am entrusted to regulate this sector, I'm entrusted as a custodian of these resources on your behalf in the government of Kenya. I will make sure there are reforms, so this resource must benefit you.
The first day themed unpacking the issues and opportunities for women in and impacted by the extractive industries was characterized by voices of women in the sector sharing their personal stories and testimonies.
Information is power because mining is such a complex industry. I'm sure you've heard from everybody, and we will continue to hear that today. Mining, the extractive industry, is such a huge sector, and it is such a complex sector. Without information, you will fall. And I've fallen many times without information.
So my experience has been, perhaps as I share, one or two learnings along the way, is that it is extremely important, and something not only in this sector, but in any other sector as well, as a woman, and as a woman in a male-dominated sector, to focus on merit. It is just absolutely critical. It may sound very obvious, but I cannot understate that enough. That, when I get to the table and my experience within the sector that I am in, which is a very technical sector, I do know the experiences, and I have learned so much listening to the women who spoke earlier in the morning. Our sector is extremely technical, and I have found that people give you an opportunity. They want to know, why are you here? Are you politically connected? Do you have a good father, good mother, something somewhere? What other agenda do you have? So you have a window, but it's a small window. And when you get that window, you must push. But you have to push on the point of merit. You have to show that you are at the table as of right. You know what you're talking about and know the agenda from there.
Kuna some challenges yenye huwa tunapata kwa ground, like wakati wanapo fire the fumes, hiyo ina cause abortion kwa our community.
I just wanted to congratulate the presenter from Malawi as well as the presenter from DRC, because I took note of the fact that within their activities they've also taken cognizance of the need to emphasize on the women's health. And I think we all understand that one of the saddest consequences of the extractive industries and their development in different areas has been the upsurge in HIV, and especially HIV infections among young women. And these are women that don't have social protection programs, that don't have medical aid, and so even access to health facilities becomes a real problem as these extractive industries are developing.
In his keynote address, the Australian High Commissioner, His Excellency John Fix, said that the Australian government supports regional initiatives in extractive sector, which includes women participation.
This year, Australia's aid program for Africa will total over $320 million. Australia also supports regional initiatives that aim to improve governance of the extractive sector across Africa, including the African Mining Vision and the African Mineral Development Sector. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, our primary reason for being here today is to celebrate and enhance the work of African women and men in the extractive sector.
On his part, Mr. Frank Dixon Mugenyi, the African Union Commissioner of Trade and Industry, pointed out that to ensure that initiatives in the extractive industries are gender responsive, gender mainstreaming should be adopted not only in the sector's value chain, but in holistic national policies and frameworks.
My department is working with UN Women, UNDP, and ECA to ensure that all the African initiatives, including African Mining Vision, the boosting of African intra-African trade, the continental free trade area negotiations that have been launched, the African Mining Vision, and many others, are gender responsive. It is therefore important that we ensure that the gender mainstreaming is across the natural resource value chain.
The second day, themed Extractive Industries Policy, Women Needs and Opportunities in the Sector, saw participants engage in high-level panel discussions on policies for engendering the extractive sector and a video address by Dr. Pumzile Mlambo-Nguka, UN Women Executive Director, on gender-responsive, national regulatory extractive policy framework.
It's clear that there is an urgent need to integrate gender equality policies and actions within the mining sector in Africa to address the social, cultural, economic and political barriers women face in this industry.
UN Women is very happy to be a partner for such an important event. Having served as South Africa's Minister of Minerals and Energy for 6 years, I know the importance of introducing gender equality in the extractive industries and the benefits thereof. A key to our success was engaging with all stakeholders and forming strategic partnerships between governments and the private sector and labor.
Ms. Christine Musisi, UN Women's Regional Director, Eastern and Southern Africa, emphasized on the fact that for women's rights to be fully fulfilled, there is need for proactive work towards their full integration into the economy. She reiterated that it makes economic sense to invest in gender equality, terming it as good business.
If we seek to ensure women's rights are fulfilled, we must proactively work towards their full integration into the economy. It makes economic sense to invest in gender equality and women's empowerment in the extractive industry. It is actually good for business.
The day culminated in a Women Empowerment Principles or WEPS awareness and sign-up ceremony that saw 2 Kenyan companies, the Gulf African Bank and Tribe Hotel, sign up to the WEPS. The WEPS are a set of 7 principles for business, offering guidance on how to empower women in the workplace, marketplace, and community. The ceremony aimed to not only have companies sign up for the WEPS, but also to network, raise awareness, and promote commitment to the Women's Empowerment Principles, which is a joint initiative championed by UN Women in collaboration with the UN Global Compact.
We have developed a website that is dedicated to our women customers where they can interact with experts in different fields, doctors, entrepreneurs, and all other fields, and ask questions to address whatever concerns that they have, and it's a very confidential platform between them. We have women advisors who advise on different fields in terms of business and how they can access bank facilities to their advantage. So this initiative complements what we have started.
I'm very, very proud to say that at Tribe Hotel, 42% of our employees are women. And since last week, 21 women in management versus 20 men in management.
UN Women is committed to achieving gender equality by 2030. And we are looking forward to working with the private sector companies present here today and others to not only promote the women's empowerment principles, but also to look into ways of putting the principles into practice. Thus, the partnership is just the beginning of an exciting journey with the corporate sector taking lead in changing the narrative for humanity once and for all.
The third and final day of the regional Sharefare was themed Gender in the Extractive Industries, Sharing Knowledge. This included sharing of good practices from private sector engagement in communities and several research papers around policy frameworks, socio-economic and environmental impacts of extraction, and women participation in the development of the mining vision, among others.
We are seeing an opportunity in the extractive industry. And I'm very happy because we are beginning with the issue of mindset. To say we are in there for it and we have to achieve it.
How do I get into the business and make money out of it?
Maybe go to the Minerals Commission. Do you have a Minerals Commission? You know, somewhere like that, and then you can try and get a list. And then you look at the cheapest items. Once you get one order from one mining company, it will be easy, but I think that through that you can build up your clientele with the mining companies.
During the 3-day event, participants had an opportunity to attend different breakout sessions on various issues such as Africa Rising Initiative, identifying business opportunities in the EI sector, and community, company relations, among others, and exhibit their work.
One of the things that we noticed in the gender and mining, actually minerals and mining policy of 2014, is that it says one of its objectives is a framework for gender mainstreaming and eradication of child labor in the mining industry. But then when you go through the policy, it doesn't list out strategies. What you will realize is that whilst you may have very good laws and very good policies, if you don't come up with specific strategies, whatever you're planning is really, it just remains in paper.
The conference concluded with the development of a pathway for gender equality and women empowerment solution in the extractive industries, a culmination of lessons learned and discussions over the 3 days.
We specifically came to learn about semi-precious stones and precious stones also, so that we can know what kind of qualities to get, who should we get them from, are we making sure that we're making decisions that are beneficial to the people who mine them, because that's one of the fundamental aspects of our business, being having some responsibility to everybody that we're working with. So it's, as I said, it's been fantastic.
So I have met people from the Ministry of Gender in Uganda. I have met people from Kenya who have shared their different experiences, and still that we can borrow from and do the same in Uganda.
Everybody who came has this duty on him or her to take that message forward. It's not only about networking, about opportunities, but it's just a very simple message that women are doing well in that world. It's not only male-dominated. There are women who are working there and doing very, very good work.
It makes economic sense to invest in gender equality and women's empowerment in the extractive industry. It is actually good for business.